Ford just did what no automaker dared to do, and it's shaking up the entire industry. What if buying a car was never the same again? For over a century, dealerships have dominated car sales. They were the essential bridge between manufacturers and buyers, a place where customers could see, test, and negotiate the price of their next vehicle. But that model is now on the verge of extinction because Ford has made a move so bold, it's sending shockwaves through the entire industry. The company is ditching traditional dealerships and moving to a direct-to-consumer sales model. Now, the question is, will other automakers follow? Will prices drop or skyrocket? What's the real reason behind this drastic move? And more importantly, how does it affect you? Stick with me to find out what this move actually means. Now, the announcement is more than just a shift in business strategy. It's a fundamental change in how cars are sold, and it's happening fast. Dealerships, which have been the backbone of Ford's sales network for generations, are suddenly finding themselves sidelined. This move could lead to thousands of dealership closures, job losses, and a complete restructuring of the industry. And consumers, they're divided. Some see this as a long overdue change that will make car buying simpler, while others worry about losing the personal service and immediate availability that dealerships provide. The backlash was immediate. Dealership owners are furious, calling this decision a betrayal. Legal experts are predicting a fierce battle as state franchise laws, originally designed to protect dealerships, could come into play. Consumers are left wondering if this move is really in their best interest, or if it's just another way for Ford to maximize profits while giving them fewer options. But this decision isn't just about making car buying easier. The real reason Ford is making this move runs much deeper. Many assume this is just Ford following in Tesla's footsteps, but that's only part of the story. The reality is that consumer habits have changed drastically. People are now accustomed to buying everything online, from groceries to electronics, and car shopping is no different. Studies show that most buyers already do extensive online research before stepping foot in a dealership. Ford is simply capitalizing on this trend, streamlining the process to remove the friction that dealerships create. Another key factor, money. Ford's CEO has openly admitted that the traditional dealership model adds thousands of dollars to the cost of every vehicle. 2/3 of those costs are tied up in advertising and maintaining inventory on dealership lots. By selling directly to consumers, Ford believes it can cut costs dramatically while also increasing its profits. But there's another, even more valuable reason Ford is making this move: data. By handling all sales directly, Ford gains access to a goldmine of consumer information. They'll know exactly what customers want, how they configure their cars, what features they prioritize, and even how they shop online. This data allows Ford to personalize the buying experience, optimize production, and create highly targeted marketing strategies. In a world where data is the new oil, this shift gives Ford an enormous competitive advantage. So how does this actually change car buying? Instead of visiting a dealership, you'll now be able to browse, customize, and purchase a Ford vehicle entirely online. There will be no more dealer markups or high-pressure sales tactics. Prices will be fixed and transparent. Once you place an order, Ford will manufacture the vehicle to your exact specifications and have it delivered directly to you. This model eliminates one of the most frustrating parts of buying a car: the negotiation process. No more sitting in a dealership for hours trying to get a fair deal. Instead, what you see is what you pay. But there's a downside. Gone are the days of walking into a dealership and driving off with a new car that same day. With this model, buyers will have to wait for their vehicles to be built and delivered, a process that could take weeks or even months. Additionally, test drives will become less accessible, as traditional dealerships often played a key role in letting customers experience vehicles before making a decision. Not everyone is happy about this change. Dealerships in particular are fighting back hard. Many have spent generations building their businesses under the current system, and Ford's move could put thousands of them out of business. State franchise laws were originally put in place to protect dealerships from manufacturers exerting too much control, and now these laws are being tested. Dealership groups are already lobbying state governments to block Ford's transition, arguing that eliminating dealerships will hurt local economies, lead to job losses, and reduce customer service options. Lawsuits are expected, and some states may even pass new regulations to force Ford to continue working with dealerships. But Ford is betting that the future is digital, and they're willing to take the risk. Whether this move is a revolution in car sales or a costly gamble remains to be seen. What do you think? Is this the future of car buying, or is Ford making a mistake? Let us know your thoughts. Ford's money problem. What if I told you that every car you buy from a dealership costs you thousands more than it should? That is the reality of the traditional dealership model, a system packed with hidden costs that Ford is now desperate to escape. For decades, automakers like Ford have relied on independent dealerships to handle vehicle sales. On the surface, it seems like a great setup. Dealerships handle customer service, financing, and inventory, while Ford focuses on designing and building cars. But there is a dark side to this arrangement, and it is all about money. Running a dealership is expensive. There are real estate costs, advertising budgets, showroom maintenance, and staff salaries. Every single one of these costs gets passed down to the consumer. According to Ford's chief executive officer Jim Farley, sticking with the dealership model adds an extra $2,000 to the price of every Ford vehicle. And 2/3 of that cost, it is not even related to selling the car itself. It is just the money dealerships burn on advertising and keeping vehicles sitting on lots. Imagine paying rent just for cars to sunbathe. Ford knows that this system is inefficient, and with direct sales, they are looking to cut the middleman entirely. The biggest question, however, is this: will Ford actually pass those savings on to the customer, or is this just another strategy to boost their bottom line? Tesla has already proven that cutting dealerships can mean cheaper cars. Without relying on third-party sellers, they control pricing and avoid the dealer markups that frustrate so many buyers. Ford has the chance to follow suit, offering fair, transparent pricing without surprise fees and negotiations. But if history has taught us anything, it is that companies do not always act in the consumer's best interest. Ford could take that extra $2,000 per car and reinvest it into their electric vehicle expansion, research, or just keep it as pure profit. One thing is certain, Ford has seen the financial potential of a dealership-free world, and they are ready to take the leap. But cutting dealerships is not just about money, it is about something even bigger: data. The data goldmine. Your browsing history might decide the next Ford model. That might sound like an exaggeration, but in a world where data is the most valuable asset, it is not far from the truth. When you buy a car from a dealership, Ford does not get to see the full picture. They do not know how long you researched before buying, what features you compared, or which models you almost picked but changed your mind about. That information is locked away with the dealership, making it harder for Ford to predict consumer behavior. But by switching to a direct-to-consumer model, Ford can collect that data themselves, and that changes everything. Data is the new gold in the automotive world. Every time you visit an automaker's website, look at a specific car model, or even delay your purchase, you are providing valuable insights. Ford will use this data to make cars that are more in line with what consumers actually want, adjusting production based on real-time trends instead of relying on outdated dealership reports. But it goes even further. With the rise of artificial intelligence-driven sales, Ford can now predict which model you are most likely to buy, what financing options will appeal to you, and even when you will be ready to upgrade. Imagine logging into Ford's website and seeing an offer tailored just for you. A deal so specific it almost feels like they are reading your mind. That is not a coincidence. It is a calculated strategy. There is another layer to this: personalized pricing. Just like airlines and e-commerce platforms, Ford could start adjusting car prices dynamically based on demand, location, and even your browsing behavior. While that might sound like a fair approach, it also opens the door to potential price manipulation, where different customers see different prices for the same vehicle. Ford is not just selling cars anymore, they are selling data-driven experiences. Whether this benefits the consumer or just pads Ford's profits remains to be seen. But there is an even bigger reason Ford is making this shift, and it has to do with electric vehicles. Ford's gamble on electric cars. Ford's electric vehicle business is bleeding money. Can this direct sales move save it? Electric vehicles are the future, but for Ford, they are also a financial nightmare. The company's electric division has been losing billions, and every single electric car they sell is costing them tens of thousands more than they are making. Something needs to change, and fast. One of Ford's biggest problems? Their dealership network. Traditional dealers have been slow to embrace electric vehicles, and some are even reluctant to sell them. Why? Because electric cars require far less maintenance than gasoline-powered vehicles, meaning dealers make less money on servicing them. For dealerships, a future dominated by electric vehicles means declining profits, and that is a reality many dealers do not want to accept. By cutting out dealerships, Ford can take full control over how electric vehicles are marketed, sold, and delivered. No more pushback from skeptical dealers. No more unnecessary markups or slow adoption rates. Ford gets to handle everything in-house, just like Tesla. But will it work? Tesla's direct-to-consumer model has been successful because of their brand, their technology, and their loyal customer base. Ford is stepping into uncharted territory, and they have to convince consumers that buying a vehicle directly from the company is a better experience than the dealership model they have known for decades. This strategy is bold, but it is also risky, and that brings us to the biggest question of all: can Ford actually pull this off? Can Ford pull this off? The hidden risks. This could be Ford's biggest innovation, or its downfall. While Ford is making a daring move by eliminating dealerships, the road ahead is filled with obstacles. The biggest challenge? Logistics. Dealerships do more than just sell cars. They handle test drives, financing, and vehicle storage. Without them, Ford will need to build an entirely new system to ensure that customers can easily get their vehicles. If they do not get this right, they risk frustrating buyers with long delivery times, confusing financing processes, and a lack of hands-on experience before purchase. Then there is the supply chain issue. The global car industry is still recovering from supply shortages and production delays. If Ford wants to make this work, they need a rock-solid system to ensure vehicles are built and delivered efficiently. If they struggle with logistics, this whole plan could backfire spectacularly. And finally, there is trust. Consumers have spent their entire lives buying cars through dealerships. Ford has to convince them that an online direct purchase model is not only better, but also safer. People need to feel comfortable spending tens of thousands of dollars on a vehicle they have never physically seen or tested. If Ford gets it right, they will redefine how cars are bought and sold. If they get it wrong, they could alienate their customers and create a logistical disaster. Ford is taking a massive gamble, but the rewards could be just as big. The only question left is, will consumers embrace this change, or will they push back against the biggest automotive shift in decades? The service problem. Who will fix your Ford now? Dealerships were never just about selling cars. They played a crucial role in vehicle maintenance, repairs, and customer support. With Ford cutting them out of the equation, an urgent question arises: who will service these vehicles now? For decades, car owners have relied on dealership service centers to handle everything from routine oil changes to complex engine repairs. With the elimination of these locations, Ford is venturing into uncertain territory, and customers may be the ones caught in the middle. Ford has promised an alternative. Instead of traditional dealership service centers, they are shifting towards mobile service units and third-party repair partnerships. The company envisions a future where technicians come directly to the customer's home or workplace to perform maintenance. This model could offer unprecedented convenience, but it also comes with significant risks. Can Ford train enough skilled mobile technicians to replace the thousands of dealership mechanics currently in place? Will customers feel comfortable relying on an unfamiliar third-party repair network rather than a Ford-certified service center? Another major concern is warranty repairs. Traditionally, dealerships have handled warranty claims efficiently because they have direct ties to the manufacturer. Without this network, customers could face longer wait times and logistical headaches. Independent repair shops may not have immediate access to proprietary Ford parts or diagnostic tools, leading to delays in service. Moreover, trust is a factor. Many drivers form long-term relationships with their local dealership mechanics, knowing their vehicles are in expert hands. Losing this element could make some Ford owners hesitant about the shift. This service transition could also impact the resale value of Ford vehicles. One key selling point of dealership servicing is the assurance that vehicles have been maintained according to manufacturer standards. Without that consistency, potential buyers may be wary of purchasing a used Ford, fearing that maintenance records could be less reliable. This could hurt both Ford and its loyal customers in the long run. Ultimately, Ford is betting that convenience will outweigh the discomfort of losing traditional dealership services. But whether customers embrace this shift or demand the return of certified service centers remains to be seen. How competitors are reacting to Ford's move. Ford may be leading the charge, but they are not the only major automaker watching this transition closely. Is this the beginning of an industry-wide revolution, or just a high-risk experiment that others will avoid? Toyota has been experimenting with digital-first retail models for years, but they have yet to make the full leap Ford is attempting. Some industry insiders believe Toyota is waiting to see how Ford's strategy unfolds before making a similar commitment. If Ford's direct-to-consumer approach proves successful, Toyota may quickly follow suit. However, if the move backfires, Toyota and others will likely double down on their traditional dealership networks. General Motors appears to be taking a more cautious approach. While they have implemented online buying options and streamlined sales channels, they continue to work closely with their dealership network rather than abandoning it. Executives at General Motors have hinted that while they see value in reducing dealership reliance, they are not ready to make a full transition to direct sales. Instead, they may introduce hybrid models where customers can order online but still have dealership support for test drives and service. European automakers, particularly those in the luxury segment, are also paying attention. Brands like Mercedes-Benz and BMW have been experimenting with direct-to-consumer strategies, but with mixed results. Their dealership networks remain strong, as many luxury buyers still prefer the in-person experience. However, electric vehicle companies like Tesla and Rivian have already proven that a dealer-free model can work in the right circumstances. Chinese automakers present another wild card. Companies such as NIO and BYD have successfully built direct-to-consumer sales models, offering online purchases and manufacturer-controlled service centers. If Ford's strategy proves effective in the American market, it could accelerate a shift that allows Chinese automakers to enter with similar models, intensifying competition. As the industry shifts, some automakers will adapt while others will resist. Ford has made its move, and the rest of the automotive world is watching closely. The results of this bold decision could shape how cars are sold for generations to come. Who wins and who loses? Ford is not just reshaping the way cars are sold, they are disrupting entire local economies. The dealership network has long been a major employer across the country, providing jobs to thousands of salespeople, service technicians, administrative staff, and finance professionals. By removing dealerships from the equation, Ford is setting off a chain reaction that could have lasting consequences. Local economies in smaller towns may suffer the most. In many communities, car dealerships are among the largest employers, supporting not only their staff, but also local businesses that rely on dealership activity. Restaurants, advertising agencies, cleaning services, and parts suppliers all depend on dealerships to drive revenue. Without them, these businesses could struggle to stay afloat. The employment impact could be staggering. Sales professionals, service technicians, and dealership managers could find themselves out of work, forced to either transition into other industries or compete for fewer jobs at independent repair shops. While Ford's mobile service approach may create new roles, it is unlikely to replace the sheer number of positions being lost. On the other hand, Ford's direct-to-consumer approach could reduce costs for buyers in the long term. Without dealership overhead, prices may become more competitive. Additionally, as Ford streamlines production and distribution, consumers could see lower financing rates and a more transparent pricing model. However, these potential savings come at a steep price for those whose livelihoods depend on the traditional dealership system. For small businesses, communities, and thousands of workers, this transition is not just an inconvenience. It is a seismic shift that could alter their financial stability for years to come. The legal war? Can Ford even do this? Ford's decision to bypass dealerships is not just a business move, it is a direct challenge to decades-old laws designed to protect franchise dealerships from being shut out by automakers. Many states have laws that prevent manufacturers from selling directly to consumers, and Ford will have to navigate a legal minefield to make this transition work. Some states have already signaled resistance. Laws originally put in place to ensure fair competition now serve as roadblocks to Ford's new sales model. Dealership lobbyists are preparing for a battle, arguing that Ford's move threatens local businesses and thousands of jobs. Lawsuits and regulatory challenges are almost guaranteed as dealership associations fight back. Some experts believe this could escalate to the highest levels of the legal system. If courts side with Ford, it could set a legal precedent that allows all automakers to shift away from dealerships. If states push back and enforce existing franchise protections, Ford may be forced to adjust its strategy, possibly reintroducing dealerships in some capacity. The outcome of this battle will shape not only Ford's future, but the legal framework of the automotive industry as a whole. The stakes could not be higher, and this legal war is just beginning. Could every automaker follow Ford's lead? Ford might have just started an industry-wide revolution. For over 100 years, automakers have relied on dealerships as the primary way to sell cars. But now, Ford's decision to move to direct-to-consumer sales is challenging the entire industry. And here's the real question: will others follow? History shows that once one company makes a radical change, the rest either adapt or get left behind. Tesla already proved that direct sales work. Now, Ford is betting its future on it. That puts every other automaker in a tough position. extinction. If Ford succeeds, competitors will have no choice but to follow. If it fails, they will use that failure as proof that dealerships should stay. Either way, the entire industry is watching. General Motors has hinted at experimenting with direct sales, especially for electric vehicles. European automakers like Volvo have already announced their intention to move entirely online. Even Japanese brands known for their cautious approach are rethinking their dealership strategies. But not everyone is on board. Traditional dealerships have been the backbone of local economies, and powerful dealership associations will fight against this shift. They argue that direct sales hurt jobs, take away local service options, and limit consumer choice. And they are not wrong. Many states in the United States have laws protecting dealerships, making it difficult for manufacturers to cut them out entirely. Legal battles will decide just how far this shift can go. Beyond the automotive industry, this move could inspire changes in other sectors. The real estate market is already seeing a shift toward digital transactions, and retail brands have been moving online for years. Could Ford's decision be the final push that forces legacy industries to fully embrace direct-to-consumer models? One thing is certain, the way people buy cars will never be the same again. The subscription model, the future of car buying? What if you never bought a car again? Imagine paying a monthly fee to access any vehicle you want, upgrading whenever necessary, and never worrying about ownership, resale, or maintenance. That is the reality some automakers are considering, and Ford's direct-to-consumer shift could bring it closer than ever. Subscription-based car ownership is not a new idea, but it has struggled to take off. Companies like Volvo, Porsche, and BMW have experimented with monthly car access plans, allowing customers to swap vehicles or cancel anytime. The problem, the costs were too high and the demand was not strong enough. But with automakers taking control of sales, they could rethink the pricing and logistics of this model. Ford, for example, could bundle insurance, maintenance, and vehicle use into a single monthly payment, much like streaming services do for entertainment. No down payments, no loans, just a rolling subscription that lets customers switch between models as their needs change. A commuter today, a road tripper next month, an electric vehicle user when it makes sense. But do customers actually want this? Surveys suggest mixed opinions. Some love the idea of flexibility and not dealing with the hassles of ownership. Others hate the thought of never fully owning their car, constantly paying for something they will never keep. There is also the risk of hidden fees, mileage restrictions, and lack of true customization. Then there is the impact on used cars. If fewer people own vehicles outright, what happens to the secondhand market? Could subscription models drive up the cost of traditional ownership, making cars even less accessible for those who prefer to buy? Ford's shift to direct sales could be the first step toward making car subscriptions a mainstream reality. Whether that is good or bad depends on how it plays out. One thing is clear, the days of walking into a dealership and haggling for a price will soon be a thing of the past. But what do you think? Let's talk down in the comments.